got some water.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. Let me put this onto Do Not Disturb.
So I'm not going to do a whole long intro spiel because I kind of
Okay.
feel like I could just do one after the episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Other than to say,
Yeah.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you today, Charlie. It's been a little while in the coming, and yeah, you've been on my radar for quite a long time actually. So I've been a bit of a fan from afar. You were very, very kind to meet me for I think a coffee and a sandwich a couple of years ago.
Yeah, when you were just getting started.
Yeah. And I was sort of furiously noting down all the advice on how to start a community.
Yeah.
Get on going. It's
Did it
not
work?
easy. Yeah.
It's not very easy at all.
It's not.
It takes a lot of hard work.
So yeah, well, but kind of before we get into that, I want to ask you about kind of where you came up. I know you started in East Dulwich.
Yeah, I grew up in East Dulwich went to school in South London.
Yeah.
Spent a large amount of my time kind of in South London. And then I would say probably around 1985, started exploring. And exploring via music.
Yeah.
So my love of music basically introduced me to areas that I didn't really know about or didn't know existed.
Yeah.
Didn't know if I was welcome. And it just started, I kind of got this real thirst for traveling around London and discovering new places, and that was kind of really important. And I think it's a really important thing where you live anywhere is just kind of really try and discover your city.
Yeah.
And explore it.
So, and where was, because you were like a jungle DJ.
I started off as a hip hop DJ.
Oh, you did?
Actually, yeah. And then got into playing all different types of music. But I was signed to a label called Moax in the 90s. And so kind of got into electronic music heavily around that period of time. Playing all forms of music. And then obviously was like, jungle kind of descended on London in the early 90s. I was definitely fully into that.
Nice. And was there was quite a big rave scene in London at the
Yeah,
time.
there was a really big rave scene. And prior to the rave scene, there was like a warehouse party scene that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting. Kind of, again, that introduced me to different areas of London. Like I'd never been to East London before until I went to a warehouse party.
Yeah.
It was like a no-go area. I'd never been to Brick Lane until I went to a warehouse party. And invariably what would happen is you'd go to these kind of events, stay until the sun came up because it was really hard to get home if you weren't driving. And then you would kind of explore the area that you'd ended up in or the person's house that you'd ended up in. I can remember ending up in Old Street for the very first time and just thinking, this place is like surreal. It was so weird. Back in early 90s, it was so barren.
Yeah. So I remember it. I suppose I moved to London in 2005. So
Yeah. Where were you before then?
a little bit later. Living out in Taiwan for a couple of years.
As one does.
As one does. Selling Chinese. That's a story for another podcast. And and then before that, Hampshire.
Okay.
Yeah, which I feel like an adoptive Londoner. But 2005, Old Street, Shoreditch, they were already becoming very cool.
They were definitely on their way.
Yeah, unaffordable and full of bankers. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had this warehouse in, it's so stupid now, but I had this warehouse in Old Street from about 95 to 98.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and the guy who owned it was like, okay, I'm going to sell this place. You can have it for £85,000. It was like 1,000 square feet. And we were like, it's a bit expensive. Because it was still a hole. It was still a hole of it. Yeah, massive warehouse.
Yeah.
I dread to think how much that place is worth now. But hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Well, it's 2020.
Yeah, got to keep moving forward.
You too. And then so you had a whole music career.
Yep.
Yes. Attica Blues and Sony and Moax. And are you still DJing now? Are you still making music?
Yeah, I took some time off. Started getting anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
Like panic attacks when I was DJing. So, and this is probably about 12, 13 years ago. So I kind of had to just take some time out.
Yeah.
And I kind of started getting back into it maybe about 4 years ago. First of all, started getting back into making music again because I completely stopped. Really fallen out of love with it. And then kind of started getting back into DJing and buying records. And now I've got a radio show. and back in the music mix, which is quite interesting. But it's back in the music mix on my own terms, which is a much nicer place to be.
Yeah.
The whole musical landscape has changed now.
Right.
So the way you make music, the way you release music, the way you collaborate is completely different.
Yeah.
And that's really refreshing.
Yeah. It almost feels like the labels they're pretty incidental for a lot of musicians.
I think people are very unconcerned about how a song was made, where in the world it was made, what it was mixed on, what label released it. It's really very much kind of, if it's good, we like it. And if it's not, then it's kind of just goes into the heap of the other numerous tracks that are coming out at the moment.
Yeah. And so are you writing anything at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of working on a new project, which is kind of, because time is limited and I'm getting on in age, I'm very, very conscious of the fact that whatever I do has to kind of have some purpose of some sort, and kind of consolidating ideas.
Yeah.
And also trying to, not expend energy in areas which are not going to serve me. This is the wiseness growing up. So so I'm making this, which is a long way of saying that I'm making this project, which has got lots of different strands. And at the moment, we're just kind of boiling them down into a thing that we can take around the world.
Oh, man, amazing.
And that's the idea, is to kind of take this thing that kind of brings in all my different influences. Really, what I should be doing is making an album about running.
Yeah.
But that's the last thing I want to do. I just really don't want to do that. Everyone keeps saying to me, you need to write a book about running and you need to kind of make an album about running. I'm just like, I don't know. That feels like a job.
Yeah. Well, when did Random Crew get started?
End of 2006, early 2007 is when it began. And I just I never thought it was going to grow into what it has grown into.
Yeah.
That was never the aim. It wasn't this aim to grow this organization. I really was just like, my friends keep dying. They keep getting sick, ending up in hospital. Our lifestyles that we're leading are really unhealthy. We need an intervention. We need to do something. And then also, as is well documented, I kind of started to miss people, because what happens when you are successful at what you do is then you then start making more money, and then you also start traveling a lot.
Yeah.
So then you're just chasing your friends around the world. You're never in the same place at the same time. And so it was just an attempt to kind of bring people together. And I've always liked bringing people together. And I guess that's a skill that I've learned from DJing. And I was just like, okay, cool. And every day I wake up, I feel very, very blessed that Random Crew has grown into the kind of institution that it has.
Yeah.
But as you know, when you have a thing that you've grown, it does become a bit of an albatross at times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like,
we're multi-dimensional.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have days when it gets to Tuesday and I'm like, oh God, it's Random Crew.
Yeah, because you guys, but it seems like, you're obviously an incredibly creative guy, so you can just keep on evolving it.
Yeah.
Right. So it seems like it's had all sorts of different shapes and sizes, and you're in Brixton Street Gym.
Yeah, we're in Brixton Street Gym now, kind of back in the community phase. Which is a really good place to be. And it's been really interesting moving back to Brixton and seeing the different types of people who are coming down. That's really interesting as well. And I'm really excited by the collaboration that we have going down with Brixton Street Gym. It kind of makes a lot of sense for us. And it's good to be out of Shoreditch.
Yeah.
It's good to be tucked away where, there's not really too much attention on what we're doing. We can kind of just get on with it.
Yeah, under the radar.
Yeah.
Although I kind of have the sense that Brixton Street Gym is going to become something quite big.
Brixton Street Gym already is something big.
Yeah.
But I think the concept of what they have, because it's so brilliant, I think that's something that's going to spread globally, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. That'd be really lovely to see. Yeah, I love it down there. It's good. Then we need to get you down there.
Yeah.
They need some meditation in the place. Yeah.
Well, no, I'd love to. I, in a very kind of wearing a different hat, used to work in a little creative agency called Champion in Brixton.
Okay.
And we did this whole series of kind of branding for them. It's kind of pre-Brixton Street Gym.
Oh, nice, wicked.
Block party.
Yeah, block when they call block workout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Memory's better than mine. So kind of know the guys. But And like you kind of I suppose you've had various associations with very large sporting labels.
I like the way you diplomatically put that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's clever.
You know, how is that? How does that work? Is it I imagine it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Maybe not speaking about the current one, but
The current one that I'm with is lovely.
yeah,
They're really lovely, really, really lovely. And I think what happens is it takes you a bit of time to find your tribe.
yeah,
You know, but definitely working with major sports brands or major brands in general can have some amazing plus factors and then some also really frustrating lows.
yeah,
Because they are like large cruise ships. They take an incredibly long time to turn. And, you know, so I've worked with, you know, sports brands since 2007. Some of it has been lovely and amazing. And some of it has been quite, you know, quite hair pulling at times. But I'm in a good place at the moment. I like the brands that I'm working with at the moment. They're really cool.
yeah.
But it's taken a while to kind of, you know, weed out the bad ones from the good ones.
It's a process. Yeah. Do you I mean, I suppose one of the things going on there is they'll want a certain version of you, which isn't necessarily the you of a particular day.
Yeah, it's not really. I don't know if it's even that. I just think what the ideas that get talked around the board table often sound really great around the boardroom table, but in reality of life, they just don't work.
Yeah.
And that's really hard, you know, to get people to understand that. And then also, I think ultimately, end of the day, most brands, they want to make money. That's their ultimate thing.
Yeah.
And I like making money, but I also like helping people.
Yeah.
And I like building communities. And I like maintaining them. And so at some point, you always come to a loggerhead. You know, you start pulling in different directions. And it's cool if you're working with people who understand and also come down and get involved.
Yeah.
But when you're working with people who kind of almost like you're working with remotely, so they're kind of judging everything you do for the Instagram lens because they're actually too scared to actually come down and participate, then life just gets really hard.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I like about, you know, the brands that I get to work with now, because, you know, we just put this rule in. It's kind of, we will not have a conversation with you. We will not do any work with you unless you come down. If you don't come down, then we can't, you know what I mean? We can't do it, you know? And I think that's because I don't think that brands realize the impact, both positive and negative, on communities that they can have, you know? And a lot of the problems that we have in the world right now, particularly in London, are caused by brands.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, it's kind of, you know, lots of them won't take responsibility for their actions. So, you know, I have a love-hate relationship with the whole kind of brand, you know, brand thing. But, you know, obviously it's kind of, you know, it's great when you're first starting out, when you start an idea and then you get recognized by, you know, a major corporation. It's kind of, that's quite exciting. So my advice to anyone...
Good for the ego.
It's good for the ego, you know. It definitely is great for the ego. And particularly if you've grown up in kind of inner cities.
Yeah.
You know, and you get to work with like the luxury brands that you've aspired and have been told by society that, you know, those are the brands that give you kudos by wearing them, by being associated with them. When you then enter into relationships with them, it's kind of mind-blowing for the ego. It's like, I've made it.
Yeah.
You know, but it is really hard. And some are easier to work with than others. My advice I say to everyone is, you know, write down what your own personal brand values are.
Yeah.
That will give you an idea of whether you really want to go and work with XYZ.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes you have to do a Robin Hood. You know, you have to kind of work with the devil so that you can basically, you know, feed the poor. You have to do it.
Exactly.
You know,
you're cleaning the money as it comes through.
yeah, definitely.
All right, actually, yeah, and that's kind of that's a really super interesting thing to think about. I'm just thinking about the kind of that ego thing and the confidence boost of you know, working with someone massive. You know, and the implied what they're saying about you when they get into that relationship. Was that something that was kind of, you know, think about like you're born to Ghanaian parents?
Yeah, I've got Ghanaian parents. Yes.
Yeah. And
they're also a blessing and a curse.
It's a blessing and a curse.
It's a blessing and a curse, depending on what day of the week it is.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's a blessing, but sometimes it can definitely be.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Culture. I think culturally, being brought up in some situations can be really hard when you're trying to kind of push the boundaries of what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
Definitely when I was younger, it was really hard.
Yeah.
But in some ways, it was a blessing because it meant that you worked twice as hard to prove that, this crazy idea, this out of the norm idea that you wanted to do would actually work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. and are those were your parents kind of encouraging of you, kind of pushing boundaries, or was there a sense that kind of why can't you just
yeah, I mean, my mum's always been quite rebellious.
Low profile.
She's the rebellious one. She's the rebellious one of the family. So she pushed her own boundaries to get where she got to.
Yeah.
I think with me, after she actually realised that this guy is really serious about this and this is what he wants to do, then, the encouragement always came. Yeah. But definitely when I was at school, it was about academia. It was kind of, get as many A's as possible. B's are not allowed. Yeah. You might as well leave the country if you've got a C.
Right. C's serious conversation.
C's was a serious conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's come back to your original point, about the brands. It is really, it's kind of amazing when you go home and you're like, I'm working with the BBC, or I'm working with British Council, or I'm working with, this sports brand or that TV station, and so on and so forth. There is you can see this kind of flicker in their eyes of, okay, this is something we can call home and boast about. It's cool.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, at the end of the day, I think parents just want you to do well. And I think one of the things I didn't realise when I was growing up is the amount of trauma that your parents have gone through, particularly if they've come from another country and resettled.
Yeah.
And they've come with these hopes and these dreams, and then they have children, and they're raising children in a world that is ever changing. And I think it's actually quite hard for them to basically accept the fact that this dream, this path that they've been working to lay out for you is not the path that you're going to take.
Yeah, and it's not your dream.
And it's not, and I think there's a real kind of like shock. And I was like, wow. So, and I think, again, these are lessons that I've learned from becoming a parent myself, where my children do things and I'm just like, why are they doing that? Yeah. And they're like, because you did that as well. Okay. Yeah. So really,
the common element is rebellion.
The common element is rebellion, rebellion all the way. I was definitely a rebellious child. Definitely. Yeah. I'm still rebellious now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and because I'm the son of immigrants, so a little bit less exotic. But
where your
dad came over from South Africa.
Oh, amazing.
Germany to South Africa to here, and mum came from Ireland. So,
okay, cool, nice.
pretty short journey, but it was amazing seeing their different styles of parenting. My dad is, he'd say himself, he wouldn't call himself a strict authoritarian guy, but that's sort of the style,
Yeah.
And then mum was all nurturing, all caring, all about the storytelling and the rest of it. But the more I learn, the more I realize they were massively rebelling against what their parents kind of did for them.
Exactly. So, but you never think about that, actually. It's kind of, it's like when I hang out with my kids, and there's always a comment about what I'm wearing. There's always like, what are you wearing, Dad? That's always one thing. And then the second thing is kind of...
What's they want you in? Like a...
Well, they just want me in the kind of, they want me in a grey tracksuit, V-neck, very plain, But there is definitely this thing where they're just like, they don't believe I was ever a teenager. And that's really funny. Yeah. When they do things and you're like, well, I know what you're doing. I was a teenager. I did exactly the same thing. And they just can't imagine you not being their dad. Yeah. That's really funny. Yeah. So it's funny when you meet people who know me from, either music days or running, and they're kind of talking to me and they're not talking to me like a dad. You kind of look down and your kids are looking at you like, what is, like, these two are really weird.
Oh, man. Actually, it's got to be good for them to see that, though.
I think they're just immensely embarrassed by everything. Yeah. I think they're just immensely embarrassed. Immensely embarrassed by it. There's this thing, it's this guy. He's just like, well, can't we just have a normal dad? Sorry. You won't understand now, but you will understand soon, hopefully. Yeah.
And what does their mum do?
Their mum teaches design and technology.
All right.
In school. She's like a big graphic head. Yeah. She's like the big kind of, I'm the music guy. They're the kind of like the graphic people. Both of them play music, both of them play instruments. One of them's really into photography. One of them wants to be a pro gamer. And yeah, you know, I've got pretty cool kids. They turned out pretty well. I'm quite happy with them. Yeah. Really happy. I'm very, you know, really proud of them, and they're doing well. They don't give me any trouble at all. You know, so. But again, you know, it's difficult because you are trying to kind of nurture them whilst at the same time introducing them to the world, at the same time keeping them safe, and at the same time allowing them freedom and allowing them to make their own decisions. And no one gives you a blueprint for being a father. It's kind of that's really weird. I just thought that it would be like the movies, and it's so not like the movies at all. Really not. Really
are like those edited highlights.
Yeah,
right? Like the dad said just the right thing at just the right
time. Yeah, yeah, it's really weird. Yeah.
What do you wish that what do you wish that you knew then that you know now? You know, kind of when you were starting out as a father.
Wow, that's a good question. I wish that I had done my yoga teacher training before I became a father.
Yeah.
Because I would have had something to help me cope with the change. Secondly, I think doing my yoga teacher training just changed my mind state completely.
Yeah.
And I just wish I had that mind state coming into, because when you're having kids, you know, and you are involved in the creative industries, you see your friends, and they're coming down to the events and the gallery openings, and they got the kids and all dressed up in all the cool gear, and they're like sleeping, and you think, oh man, it's going to be really cool. Going to get these two little mates that's going to walk around town with them and be really cool. And then they arrive, and it's kind of not like that.
Yeah.
And you just realise the sleep deprivation, no matter how many midnight or late night or all night DJ sets you've ever done in your life, nothing prepares you for the sleep, you know.
No.
The sleep deprivation is so unreal. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And also just this idea of responsibility that comes when you have children, and there's a really weird day where you suddenly realize that these small people who you helped make actually think that you know what you're doing. And they're looking for you for guidance, and you've got no idea.
Yeah.
So classic, a classic thing, the first time you have mice. Kids are all running around the house, your missus is running around the house, everyone's running around, and everyone's looking at you like Batman superhero. He's going to come and save the day. Come on, daddy. You're going to take care of the mice. You're going to get rid of the mice. You're going to do the thing. Like, you're just sitting there like, oh my God, I'm terrified of mice. And I don't know. And I actually don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And everyone here thinks I know what to do. And that's kind of, you know, it's a series of these things that happen where kind of, you know, the tire breaks down on the car, and then everyone's like, it's okay because daddy's going to go sort it out. And you're just like, I don't know how to change the car tire. I can know how to program a drum machine. I don't know how to, you know, so I wish I was more practical.
Yeah.
There's loads of things, that I wish that I, skills that I knew.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You feel you get a bit of practice kind of looking after younger folk, doing Run Them Crew and kind of building that community.
But it's different. I think it's really, really different. You know, it's really, really different growing, your kids from they've just arrived, through kind of toddler years, school, to run them. By the time they get to run them, has its different challenges. It's kind of weird because I think when people arrive at Run Them, when young people arrive at Run Them, they're looking for help. They've arrived at that point where they're like, I need some help in my life, and I've heard that you or this organization can help me, so I'm going to be open. When it's your own kids, it's just a natural thing to rebel against what your dad is telling you should be doing. It's kind of, why am I going to do that? And so I've just really just come to the thing now where it used to really kind of worry me, and now I just relax. I'm just like, cool, great, brilliant. You don't want to do your homework? All right, amazing, brilliant, cool. Let's see how that goes for you.
See how that goes for you.
Yeah. Then like 2 days later, you get the call like, Dad, I got detention. Like, oh, really? Okay, cool. We'll see how that goes for you.
Let's join the dots.
Yeah. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like anything, like having to be angry with a situation where you're actually kind of like, I can understand why you did that. So I'm actually not that angry, but society's telling me that I kind of have to be firm with you right now.
Right.
But really, I'd just be like, okay, don't do it again.
Yeah.
So there's always this push and pull.
Yeah.
Because I always remember kids at school who had those super relaxed parents. You go around there and it's like they could come in and out whenever they wanted to. You walk into their bedroom and they kind of graffitied the whole room. It was
what are they like now?
They would never eat what their parents were eating. It was always people sleeping over or living there. I just always wondered, like, what are they doing now?
Yeah, right.
Actually probably kind of married and, got 2.5 children and kind of gone really corporate. In fact, most of the ones I know who were super rebellious, that's actually what they did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that.
Yeah.
Looking for more boundaries than they had. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think the truth, as far as I've been able to work out, you can't get it right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's it. And I think one thing that yoga's taught me is, not to focus so much on things that haven't happened.
Yeah.
Not to kind of worry myself about things that in the past that I cannot change, and just to enjoy the now.
Yeah.
And that's been a real mental shift in my whole being.
Yeah.
Been really cool.
Mm.
And that's one of the things I always, I say to people, who come down to the yoga studio is kind of like, it isn't really about the shapes that you make with your body.
No.
It's about how it makes you feel. But there's this thing, if you can capture this thing of kind of just taking each day as it comes and enjoying the day for what it is, enjoying, then some magic can happen.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So, that's kind of my thing. But, it's hard. I don't know how do you find it easy to get people into the meditation studio?
Yeah. Yes and no.
Okay.
They come in their hundreds.
Yep.
That's been nice.
Yeah.
The ego.
Yeah.
But obviously trying to get the ego out the way.
Yep.
But no. Like I think they've overcome all kinds of resistance to getting through the door in the first place.
Yep.
It's like sometimes I feel like a Catholic priest. So there's this whole it's like confessional.
Yeah.
We all have to go through first. People telling me about well, so whether they've got a label for it, like, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm on these pills or those pills or whatever, lost someone, broke up with someone, something's going on.
Yeah.
Then there's another kind of little subset who are just curious explorers, like honestly doing it's a bit of almost entertainment. The people who kind of really need it, the ones who stick around. And that's amazing because then I get to see them go on a bit of a journey. And I suppose a bit like you, I'm always trying to get across that I'm not living like a totally mindful existence.
Yeah, no. That's really funny.
Meditating my way through the days. Mostly I'm running around like a blue-arsed fly, as the
it's amazing, isn't it?
Say, just going, how am I going to get it all done?
Just buy more beads.
Yeah.
Buy more beads and incense and stuff like that, kind of.
Well, all of that stuff helps,
Yeah, definitely.
It kind of gets you in the mood. But
have you heard the RZA's meditation album?
No.
Okay, so that's my tip for you to check out.
Yeah.
So RZA from Wu-Tang Clan.
Ah, nice.
Has done an album about meditation. Listen to it on your streaming service.
Yeah, I will do. Streaming service of choice. Yeah,
but it's actually, and it's really. I've been talking to a few meditation teachers about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested to know what they think.
Yeah.
Because it's actually, as an entry level, I've never meditated before. It's kind of really interesting that there are these people who are kind of really unlikely people who are getting into meditation now. And that's what I really like.
Yeah.
Really, really like. I'd love to become a meditation teacher. I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about that later.
It's, oh man, I get a lot out of it. And I'm always saying to people, like, I don't have anything to teach you. I mean, I do have something to teach, but we're trying to unlearn a lifetime of bad habits.
Yeah.
So if it's, well, there are new arrivals, right? Like there's always new, Netflix wasn't around. Now it is. Now it takes so much of my time. I shouldn't say that as a meditation teacher, but it's true.
Can you imagine? It's funny actually, because I was thinking about that actually, because I just binged watched Hunters.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, like, back in the day, there is no way that you would just sit down and watch 25 episodes of EastEnders back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Impossible. You just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's just really weird now.
EastEnders was sandwiched by something less good.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting how time has become such a precious commodity now.
Yeah.
and how it's taken up by so much stuff
Yeah.
that wasn't there before. Like I took myself to the theatre this week in the afternoon, and that was a real like thing. I kind of felt really rebellious doing that.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of, I just think they're all. I really wish I remembered like pre-Netflix, pre-MySpace, pre-internet.
Mm.
Just like what were people doing? Pre-mobile phones, like what were people doing? Like I actually just don't remember.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember. I kind of will have times where I go and spend like an hour deep dive in YouTube, kind of getting really obscure.
Oh yeah.
And I just think to myself, like, what was my equivalent of that before?
Yeah.
Probably actually I was just spending large amount of times in the studio.
Yeah. Right.
Now you can kind of like do your pre-studio before you're in the studio. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, I used to read a lot, got a lot of books here, but now they're decorations,
Yeah.
And I keep on acquiring them because I'm a bit of a hoarder.
Yeah.
But yeah, the time for reading, it seems like it's so precious. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird with books actually, because even I always feel like if I read a book, if I listen to an audiobook, I feel that I don't absorb it as much as reading it. But then there's always this thing of like, where am I going to put the book? Now I just buy books and read them and give them away.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's nice, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, I've got my missus is kind of real like, okay, so you've got 7 copies of Ian Fleming Moonraker, first edition to the latest. You don't need all of them. You need to get rid of them.
That's probably good for you.
That's probably good, yeah. But I do like a first edition book. It's funny actually. I think once you start getting rid of things, once the floodgates open, it's quite easy.
Yeah,
I think it's quite easy.
Yeah. I did a massive clear out a couple of years ago. Kind of a lot of bin bags to charity.
It's very tidy
in
here.
Great.
I mean, as a meditation teacher, I suppose it has to be Zen.
Yeah.
Do you find though when the space that you're in is crowded, that your head feels crowded?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well, my head has no problems like crowding itself anyway.
Yeah.
You put me in a cave and it'd be complicated somehow. So, I mean, what do you have you found this stuff with mindfulness, with yoga? Has that been helpful for your own sanity?
It's been the best thing I have ever introduced to my life.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that it took me so long to actually find out about it.
Yeah.
And then to accept it into my life. Like, obviously, when you do your yoga teacher training, it's kind of, it starts with the hardcore meditation. They've got you in there. It's like 6:30 in the morning. It's freezing in the studio, and you're meditating. It's like they deep dive you in. But I just found, for me, I just had this really weird epiphany one day where I was just like, dude, this is like the best drugs in the world ever.
Yeah.
And it's free.
No come down.
And it's no come down. And I can access it at any time. And it's inside my body.
Yeah.
How do I not know about this? It was like a real thing where I was just like, oh man, yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. And again, I feel quite empowered by taking time out of the day to go and meditate.
Yeah.
I feel really kind of like, I still haven't learned how to take a good meditation picture though.
Can't be done.
It can't be done.
I've had a few, kind of photographers. Someone wants to like film me teaching, and I'm like, you do understand I'm going to be sitting still with my eyes closed for most of it.
Close your eyes, make love to the camera. You could do it. Yeah, it's funny. Meditation is like, how did you get into meditation? Like,
so pretty poor mental health.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was doing all right. I had a sort of successful advertising career, but battling anxiety, panic attacks, lots of like hiding in the loo at work, right? you got like 1,000 people on the floor.
Yeah,
they're all super kind of alpha types, like very very extroverted.
Yeah,
I'm very extroverted, but then I've got this shyer side as well.
I know that feeling well. Yeah,
that manifested in me. Yeah, literally kind of like run to the loo, chill out in there until I kind of felt like I could face the world again. And, so I was doing all the wrong things actually. So there's sort of escaping it rather than dealing with it, the rest. But, so I started doing a bit of, mindfulness and meditation and CBT and of all the things that was the one that I loved. Kind of felt like I could do on my own.
Yeah.
And it's more like not meditating than meditating, I would say. Like, I kept going back to that career, and it took a while before I was kind of like, I'm going to start my own thing, and it's going to be a meditation studio, and I'm going to try and kind of democratize it. I suppose in the way that Headspace just democratized it, but like in the real.
Yeah.
Because there's something kind of qualitatively different about it. I mean, I think it's amazing, sitting on a cushion and meditating.
Yeah.
Your eyes closed. But I think the point of it is to connect.
Yeah.
My little working theory, just not original, just stolen from other people, really. But is that what we think of as spirituality. Well, everyone's going to have a different answer for that one, but we want it to be really complicated. It's going to involve slaying some dragons and covering some serious ground before you get there. I kind of had this hunch that cats, animals are just. They are spiritual. They've got what we want.
Yeah.
And it's not more complicated. It's simpler.
Yeah.
They're actually in touch with their bodies and their emotions. And, if they're hungry, they're hungry. If they're tired, they're tired. So that's what I mean by kind of, they're trying to kind of unteach people and connect to our bodies, but I think also connect to the people around us.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So the more I did it, the more kind of connected I felt, and specifically doing it with people.
Yeah.
That's how we ended up here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Funny old thing.
Yeah, really cool.
And what do you talk a lot about a kind of like a 1 mile circle, like drawing a 1 mile circle around your house.
Yes.
What's that about? Where's that come from?
It's just this idea that if you draw a 1 mile circle around your house, and then you kind of have a look into that circle and see what within that circle you can serve and help.
Yeah.
I think interesting things start to happen. So I think it's really interesting, like particularly one of the classic things we get with people who, they move into an area that's been gentrified.
Yeah.
Don't realize that they're part of the problem of the gentrification. And then don't know any of their neighbours or any of the people who are displaced by the fact that, they've moved into the area.
Yeah.
And then there's this weird kind of like thing where they live in the area, but they live in a house in the area. They don't live in the area.
Yeah, it's kind of island that
they've made.
Yeah.
And my thing is always just kind of, draw a circle around your house, a mile, find out where the nearest school is.
Yeah.
Get your CRB checks, go down, offer some time and help. If you've got kids who are hanging about in the neighbourhood, make them some cakes.
Yeah.
They're probably hungry.
Yeah.
You've got some old ladies in your roads, go and buy them some flowers. I just think that lots of people are living in, say that they feel lonely and they feel displaced and they, and they don't feel disconnected, but actually are not doing any of the things that you need to do to connect with your neighborhood. So really simple thing, next time you go into the shop to pay for your stuff, put the money in the person's hand and see the reaction. See what happens. Like really small things like that.
Yeah.
A smile, a how are you? Opening the door for someone as they come into the corner shop. It's just kind of, I just think they're really small things that you can do. And if everyone did their small little things, then, so my thing is if everyone did a mile, then that soon kind of grows into like a bigger kind of circle of influence. And
mate, that's beautiful.
I'm just, I'm just old school. Like, I guess again, it's because
it is old school, but it's, we need to bring it back.
We do need to bring it back. But I think when I was growing up in South London and I'd say I was landlocked to a mile area. The boundary was my school. And then, the other boundary was the market. And those were the two, So I just had to explore everything in between, those boundaries because I wasn't allowed to stray beyond them. So that's, I guess, where it came from.
Yeah.
Know your area inside out.
Yeah. we had like a street party here, like last summer.
Oh, amazing!
And it was amazing, but it was terrible as well. It was like some kind of apartheid going on.
Yeah.
There was it was a street over,
Yeah.
but like, you know, the end of the street that I kind of swung into, with all the bunting up and the stalls,
Yeah.
and people are like, you know, it was very sweet. They've grown pot plants, and they're
Yeah.
kind of, you know, like, come and get a pot plant
Yep.
and the rest of it, and games for kids and whatever.
Yep.
And then there was like a barbecue up at the end,
Yeah.
at the other end.
Yeah.
No bunting. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm like, well, what's with the bunting? And they
Yeah.
say, oh, well, we told them it was going to be down this end of the road.
Oh,
But you
right,
can see
okay.
the
Yeah.
message. He got.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
bonkers.
Yeah. And I think as well, you know, I think the thing about gentrification is like, it's coming, it's here,
Yeah.
it's coming to, you know, it's sweeping through the world. And I think that actually people almost need to be taught how to interact with each
Yeah.
other again. You
Yeah.
know, because it's kind of what's really, I think is really interesting is like whenever you go into a place where you feel like you're intimidated by being in that place, what you have to understand is that those people are intimidated by your presence as well.
Yeah.
And so at some point you have to find a middle ground
Yeah.
and some discussion, you know, and then it's kind of, you know, and then I think it's really amazing what happens as a result of that. But I think one of the problems that's happened is there are no longer these spaces where people can come together to do something.
Right.
And
yeah.
so, you know, I grew up in warehouse party rave culture, which
Yeah.
was all about, you know,
That was
we
the
all
church.
love music.
Mm.
So we're going to find this big space, the biggest space we can find, and invite
Yeah.
as many people as we can to share this experience.
Yeah.
It doesn't really happen anymore now.
Yeah.
Well, where do you, I mean, it does, but it happens under corporate banners.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit different,
Yeah.
you know, so,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's really, really
Yeah.
different.
No, I went to Printworks the other day, and it was
Yeah.
I'm still trying to keep like
Yeah.
a hand in things, but
Who'd you go and see?
so DJ Koze,
Okay.
and
Drum and bass DJs.
Floating Points,
Yep.
and Max Cooper. So
Okay,
like,
cool.
yeah, three like very kind of credible.
Yep.
Oh man, it was amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing. But the getting there was like this whole corporate experience. It was crazy. You know,
Yep.
queuing for an hour to get to a very intense search,
Yeah.
and then you're in, and then you're queuing for lockers for another hour. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like, why does that bring my bag?
Yeah, and Printworks is like a long tunnel as well. It's
Yeah.
kind of a bit of the
Yeah.
odd
It's a bit of an
venue.
odd vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the end of the night, I felt very kind of connected. Even
Yeah.
though there's 3,000 people in the room.
Yeah.
But yeah, not, you know, it's rare, and I think maybe there's something kind of going on where what our families and villagers would have done for us is now, well, it's not there because we're all atomized.
Yeah.
But we haven't entirely lost it, because we're surrounding ourselves with people we love, right? You know, so kind of like almost
Yeah.
building our own families.
Yeah, but I think we're quite blessed in that we are surrounding ourselves with people we love, and we are
Yeah.
surrounded by people we love. A lot of people don't have that.
No.
You know, and I think,
And that's a cozy bubble, isn't it, really?
well, I don't think it's necessarily people doing it by choice. I just think it's one of those things that can happen.
Yeah.
Because obviously the thing with social media is kind of, you take it for granted that everyone's okay because you see the highlight reel,
Mm.
you know? So you're not really knowing what's really going on.
Although I like that in your social media, you are vulnerable.
Oh yeah, I have to be.
Yeah.
Because, you know, after a while, I mean, I think that what happened to me is after I kind of had the big kind of major label record company DJ experience,
Yeah.
the burning emerging from that, kind of the embers of that, just meant that I just thought, this next time around, I'm just going to lay it all on the line. And then once you realise that people are actually listening to what you've got to say and really following what you say,
Right.
then you realise that you have a responsibility to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You got to show people, you know, what's
Right.
really going down. So one of my things at the moment, with you know, particularly with Instagram, just because my mental health is in a weird place at the moment. Maybe because I'm going to be 50 this year, which is amazing.
Epic.
But at the same time, it's a bit like, oh my God, like,
How did that happen?
well, it's not even that. You just start thinking to yourself, okay, hold on a minute. So I'm going to be 50. Might need to really start thinking about what I'm actually doing, what I'm going to be doing, you know, because now you talk to people and they're like 20 and they're like, you know, they don't really have to think about this stuff.
No.
When you get to my age, you kind of have to think about it. But then also, so one of my things, is not really kind of using the social media. I'm not posting every day anymore. And, I haven't really been on Instagram stories with myself on there.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to protect myself a little bit more. Because there's also, I had a stalker, for 2 years. That was really weird as well. That kind of threw things. Yeah, that was kind of a bit like, this is really annoying.
Yeah.
Just like, stop being annoying.
Yeah.
And then also that weird thing where you see people and you don't know them, but they know you and they know everything about you.
Yeah.
And it just kind of starts to freak you out after a while. A bit
spooky,
like, it's a bit spooky. Just like, you're like, okay. Yeah, maybe I need to be. It's a double-edged sword. I think it's a really hard one because obviously there are people who they rinse their social media, and they, they're highly successful as a result. And then there are the people, like Burial, Ghost, don't see them at all.
Yeah. And
I think it's weird, it's just hard to kind of find your space.
It's really, really hard. Yeah.
Really hard to find your space. There's definitely been a lot of I think when you're self-employed as well, you don't hide in the office. You hide in your own toilet. You don't hide in the office toilet.
Yeah, right.
Just like,
right.
But I think it's kind of but yeah, vulnerability. I've always been quite a vulnerable person. I think it's one of my superpowers. I definitely was one of the first people to start talking publicly about mental health. I can remember I was with the sports brand who shall not be mentioned, and kind of woke up one day and was just like, you know what, I kind of don't really feel great, and I'm going to tell the world that I don't feel great. And then went to sleep, woke up, and then the world had kind of been like, oh my God, I can't believe you talked about mental health publicly. Just like, of course, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. But we need more people to do it.
We do. But then I think what's happened now is it's kind of become a bit kind of like a social currency. It's like,
I've seen that,
and I've got mental health.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, okay. It's like, so I think it's it's almost swung the opposite way.
It's like a pendulum.
It's like a pendulum, swinging from left to right. It's kind of really, it's kind of...
It's hard to get right, but I think somehow you manage to, you can't go wrong with being authentic.
That's it.
Unless you have very, very objectionable views,
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because having children will keep you authentic.
Yeah.
Because they are so, particularly when they become teenagers.
Yeah.
Because they're so unimpressed by things that would previously, would make your ego go out of control. I was on a billboard.
Yeah.
I did a thing for Bumblebees. I was on a massive billboard. I was like, it was in Peckham. I was in Shoreditch. It was all over the place. And I was with my kids. I took them down there, like, we're going to go see the thing. Big surprise. My daughter was just like, oh, is that it? Yeah, anyway, what are we going to have for dinner? And it's really funny, actually, because I just had a moment where I was just like, I guess,
that's
cool.
it.
That's it.
Mm.
Onward and forward we go. So, it's good.
So now I want to be mindful of your time because we're...
I've got time. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you, is there, having just said that you want to be a bit more guarded, I suppose, about kind of what goes out on social media. Well, the same goes for podcasts, doesn't it? Is there something you wish people knew about you? That you didn't have to keep on saying.
I mean, I wish that people understood that despite the fact of what I do, and I'm kind of outgoing and a quite gregarious person, I'm still quite shy.
Yeah,
definitely. I still have imposter syndrome. It's definitely, I walk into situations, I just think, oh my God, these people think I know what I'm talking about. And they're going to pay me for me to tell them what I'm talking about. And I actually don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't think I'm qualified to tell them. I still have that. I have fears, struggling with masculinity. I think in present is hard, like I'm not like some super alpha male type of dude. That is not me.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm not kind of, the opposite spectrum. So trying to find your place in the middle is hard.
Yeah.
I think actually one of the things that people don't realize is when you start these ideas at your kitchen table and then they grow into these big things, it's a large amount of pressure to kind of keep turning up for it and keep being there for people and to keep trying to evolve it. and to keep trying to protect it as well. And I think naturally, I just think people, in fact, I know people just don't understand the conversations that you have that are offline that they will never know about, you know, and the extent that you have to go to maintain an organization this big and to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard because you're dealing with a large amount of egos.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the one thing about running is, you know, once you run any form of distance, your ego is immediately inflated because you've just done this thing of wonder. It's kind of, oh yeah, you just ran 26 miles, go and take the rubbish out. I'm not taking the rubbish out. I just ran 26 miles. What are you talking about? You know, it's kind of, you know, it's really hard to kind of deal and still show up and have that enthusiasm for it, you know, because you're the one leading.
Yeah. And so how do you recharge?
Well, one of the things that I've been doing to recharge is trying to fall back in love with the things that I was into when I had the freedom to fall in love with things.
Yeah.
So retracing things I was into when I was a teenager, when I didn't really have any responsibility, and and getting back into kind of reading books and reading comics and hunting for records and going to the theatre and kind of, you know, going to the, just kind of things I would do when I was in my teens and I didn't have a mortgage and kids and random crew and responsibilities I was just DJing in my bedroom and that was cool. Yeah. And, you know, learning to dream again. Yeah. And part of this new project that I'm working on is about kind of, you know, rediscovering things that make me happy and not having to share them with the world. That's another one as well. Yeah. And one, you know, if I think back now, I mean, I love the fact the impact that running crew has had, but actually there are some days when I wish I'd never told anyone about this. Because then
you wouldn't have to do it.
Well, it's not so you wouldn't have to do it, but you wouldn't have to basically do it to the extent that I have to do it. Yeah. Because I'm responsible for a large amount of people. Yeah. And, you know, on the good days, that's great. But there are some days where you're just like, actually, you know, I'm really trying to focus on myself right now. Yeah. And I don't have the brain capacity to focus on, you know, but because I've created this situation and this movement, I have a responsibility to basically be there. Yeah. You know, once you turn it on, it's very difficult to turn it off. That's a good question,
like
though.
The Queen. It's a job for life.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't like mice. I'm petrified of mice. I'm petrified of mice. Absolutely petrified of mice. We've got building work going on in our house at the moment, in the houses on either side of us. So just like, and so you just suddenly randomly, I'm sitting there watching TV, mouse just runs across in front of me. The dog did not move at all. In fact, he looked at me to be like, what are you going to go and do about that? I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Call it exterminator? Yeah, so, but yeah, that's a good question, actually. I mean, there's so many things. Yeah. I just think people don't understand as well when you've grown up in the Bermuda Triangle, and I call it that, you know, I went to a very posh private school. My parents are from Ghana. Most of my friends going up were from Jamaica. Trying to find yourself in that triangle of who you are was really, really hard. You know, like, who am I? I know who everyone else wants me to be. Who am I? That was really, you know, it's really hard. And it's still to this day is something that I struggle with. Just trying to, you know, be me. Yeah.
But those clues might be in those things that you loved doing when you were a kid, you know, before all the responsibilities came in. I know, so it's a Canadian doctor, Gabor Mate. I don't know if you come across him on YouTube. I'll send you a link. He's awesome. But he talks about addiction, but he's got a very kind of broad definition of it. And it is, you know, anything that you keep on doing that kind of, you know, causes you to disconnect a little bit. And then you keep on doing it even though it's caused that disconnection. And so he's got this interesting take that recovery, well, firstly, that we're all addicts, whether there are any substances or you know, anything involved. We're all addicted to something. But that recovery is really about recovering your young self.
Ooh, I like that.
Little Charlie who never actually went anywhere. Just disconnected from him a little bit along the way.
That's good. I like that, recovering who you were before. Yeah, I always say that when you come out of a bad relationship, rather than spending time crying, actually spend some time rediscovering who you were before you got into the relationship.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing. Yeah.
All right. Before this gets too deep, and do you have anything you want to plug?
No, not at all. I mean,
refreshing.
If anything, no, not at all. I kind of, one thing I've realised, I kind of went into yoga.
Yeah.
I became, when I retrained to become a yoga teacher, I kind of went in and I'm like, right, I'm going to remix the wellness world. I'm going to remix yoga. I'm going to strip it apart and put it back together. And I'm going to take it to the people who really need it. And I'm going to randomify yoga. What I did to running is what I'm going to go and do with
anti-running, anti-yoga.
With the yoga. Yeah. And actually what I've realised is people just come to it when they're ready.
Yeah.
You can obviously, there's effort required to take it to the people and you can create those situations. But the interesting thing, particularly now, you can create all these situations to try and reach the people that you're trying to reach. Mm-hmm. They will only come when they are ready.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that used to really freak me out. I'd be like, man, I trained to become a yoga teacher to kind of take it to the people, but the people aren't coming. Why is that? What can I do?
Yeah.
No, I just realised, you know what? It's just relax, Charlie. They're going to come when they come. It's like we've run them, I've got friends who every time I see them, man, I'm coming running next time. I'm going to come. And I'm like, it's 14 years now. You're not coming. And that's okay.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I've got nothing like that plug. I just, if anything, one of my reasons why, I wanted to do this show is I think that meditation is really important. I think it's something that everyone should be doing. I think it's a skill that should be accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
And so by doing this, I'm hoping that, people who follow me who don't know, any of this stuff, who are like, I'm not running, I'm definitely not doing any yoga, actually sitting in their house on a cushion might do them some good.
Like can manage. Yeah.
Yeah, they can manage. And that's, that's okay. It's funny. I was actually thinking about this. Like, if I was starting Run Them Crew now, what would it be like?
Yeah.
And I actually thought to myself, it probably wouldn't be a running crew. It would be an organization that did lots of different things that were good for you.
Yeah.
Definitely. When I started Run Them, I was just so blown away by the impact that running had on me that I thought that was all you needed.
It's like the cure.
Yeah. And then the more you start getting into, wellness and well-being, you suddenly realise that running is just one very small component of all this other stuff that you could be doing.
Yeah.
So that's my thing.
Amen to that. And same with meditation. Brilliant if you're meditating, but if you're not moving and you're not eating well, then
you're just going to be an unhealthy meditator.
Exactly. Many of us out.
What's the most amount of people that you've ever done a session for?
So I had 75 people in a room at a big kind of corporate client, big ad agency. But it felt good, actually. It felt good to kind of go terrifying. Personally, I used to so scared of public speaking, so kind of getting in front of a crowd like that, say, "Oh my god!" But good to kind of go back into this industry that I thought I never wanted to, step through the doors again. Just kind of go back wearing a different hat.
Yeah,
kind of go, you know what, I've got something of value. Was cool. Yeah,
that's cool. I did a thing in Australia with this guy called Manoj Diaz. He's like one of the Lululemon.
Yeah.
Meditation. He's like a meditation guy with KAWS, the artist, underneath the KAWS statue. And it was like 200-300 people turned up. It was like, and it was really weird, and it was really interesting actually, just kind of meditating with that amount of people.
That's amazing.
It was like really, really cool. And then obviously because it was in conjunction with the KAWS exhibition, there were loads of people who came not because they wanted to meditate at all, but because they wanted to get into to be first in line for the shop.
Meditation was the price of entry.
But they got really into it as well, and that was really cool.
That's amazing. Well, I think the more I see what you're doing, there's so much kind of cross-pollination going on. I can't even say that, but you've got the running and the yoga and the music and all the community stuff that kind of goes around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in a good space. I'm lucky.
It's inspiring, man. Keep doing what you do.
Keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I love it when people come and speak to me about ideas, and then you see them actually go and do them.
Yeah.
and bring them to life. And that's really, this your whole journey. I've been like, this guy's going to open a meditation studio in deep South London. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, but it's been really interesting to see, to see it coming together.
Thanks, man.
It's been really, really cool.
Appreciate that.
Good.
Appreciate that.
Right.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Dude, thank you so much.
No problem at all.
Cheers.
Cool.
That's
cool.
fun.